So in wanting to rejuvenate a tree of this sort with a navel orange, there's two ways it can be corrected, but there's three things you could do with it. One is you could come along, and my first perception is always to remove the dead wood and then look at what you've got left, and you could prune this tree up as it exists and try and work from there. You could come along and you could rejuvenate half of the tree in one hit, which would be, from my perception looking at it here, you would take this off here, and start your tree coming from the short side again with a view to next year removing the other side. It depends on what you're wanting to achieve. The other way, which is really my preferred option, is to take the whole tree off at a height where it starts again, and the creation of that tree then starts afresh, almost as if you've put a fresh tree in the ground. You'll have to manage all of the growth that will come from down lower here, and there are dormant basal buds that will shoot. So some of those will need to be thinned out through the summer growing period, and next year you'll start looking at what you've got and creating the form of a new tree out of that. I want to promote fruit bearing in a tree and limit vegetative growth. The vertical the growth is on a fruit tree, the less likely it is to produce fruit. So in creating yield on trees, I want to have enough weight on it that it bends the limbs over, and the more horizontal the growth becomes, the more fruit buds are formed, and therefore the more potential fruit is formed. If we chop this tree down, there'll be a much more extensive root system than is required to support this part of the tree that would be left. The shock will mean that the tree will shed a lot of its feeder roots in that area under it, which is, from my perspective, a useful thing because it's going to help create more humus in the soil. It also is going to be in a position though where it has so much vigour that what it will do is break the dormancy on all these other basal buds that exist, and it will create rampant growth through this growing season. Looking for the growth to happen outwards and not inwards, because I want light to be able to come into the tree, and that light will help provide colour in the fruit. Even light through the foliage, so as the sun goes over during the day, you know, it's able to shine on the majority of the tree to the best of its ability. Because we've got good growth happening here, a little bit happening over here, and at this height here, I'm looking here, I've got to pick the lowest point. If I'm going to cut this off at this height, I want it to be that height all the way around the tree, so that what's going to happen in the tree will be equal from there. Now, there's not a lot of weight in this. Because I want to cut here, I'm actually going to undercut this up here, just because citrus doesn't mind hanging onto the bark and it could peel. So I'll do an undercut, which is designed to go about a third of the way through the tree. This is one time these little saws with the teeth arrangement like this doesn't work because it's hard for it to shed in an uphill direction. Then from the top, just come in the other way. And over it comes without taking anyone out. I want the cut to be slightly sloping. The reason for that is that it will help shed water. The bark will want to grow over as it starts to heal the cut. So the slight slope enables that to keep shedding water. At some stage I would probably come along with this one and V out the bark on the bottom side, because it'll take probably 2 or 3 years for this to heal completely, and let the water keep draining out of this open wound on the inside. And we'll coat this with the tree paste afterwards, and that is massively important for healing these wounds. But if the water pools in there when that's dry and cracked, and you've probably all seen those sorts of things on trees, it works its way in, it just starts rotting the tree from the inside out, and you end up with a hollow centre, no strength, and just a living cambium layer around the outside of the tree. So this one again, wonder about that height.
Didn't go through my first.
That's a good illustration of why you do the undercut first. In the undercut, and particularly where it's a heavier limb, if you make it a bit above where you're going to cut, do the undercut first, cut it off up here. If there's any tear, it happens above your final cut line.
Yeah, so now I'll cut down through here.
Well, for me, I would have to chop it at the base of where that's torn to.
Yeah. So back here.
Yeah. What I'll do, I might bring this down here because we've gone a little bit lower there. It's then simple to cut the stump off once you've taken that weight off, because there's no weight wanting to pull and tear the tree. So this limb here, I think actually, because of the shape of it and the shape of the tree, I'm going to take this piece off.
Yeah, because isn't that dead?
That is dead there, and there's a prior wound here.
Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, you want to come and have a look at that, everybody? This limb, we've cut it off and we've realised there's a whole dead section in it. It's had a wound here, so this is probably why. So it's not good to keep that if we can avoid it.
Well, we can.
See the dead.
And you'll see the bracket fungi that's happening down here. That's an indication of the fact that that's dead inside. So
we don't want that.
We can just reduce the whole tree.
So we'll get it down below that bracket fungi, and hopefully we'll get down to sort of nice fresh wood.
So I'll just drop this one over here though.
Come on, have a go.
Anyone want to go?
I'll have a go.
Too cool. So this one, we want him to go roughly that high, just cutting through about there. Now you can start here, and I'll hold that down if you like. I prefer to cut away from that growth I'm trying to preserve, because otherwise in coming through we're just going to break out.
And so now that it's lower, you're not going to do this back cut?
No, because we've only got this little bit here and not much weight, it's not going to want to fall over and tear it. So it's all yours.
So the angle like
that? This little saw mark?
That's quite a slight angle.
It is a slight angle.
So not too...
So just the same again.
Here we
It
are.
doesn't need to be
Right,
too...
No, you don't want to.
Yeah, we'll take that off. So, down to...
Does somebody else want to have a go? Not that I'm trying to get out of it.
But the fact that this is so vigorous down here suggests that the tree paste has really got it moving. Or he's rethinking retirement. It's not easy, is it?
No. There's one little one, it's only a little thin one to go. Is anyone, any takers?
And just long, easy strokes. That's it. And it's actually cutting more effectively. There's more time to clear the blade.
So if I go all angry.
Yeah. Well done. Well done.
Nappies.